Hi, my name's Daryl, and I'm really happy to bring this A-Liner podcast to you today. And I have Chuck Phillips with A-Liner. And today we're going to talk about some brand new changes to the classic line. So, Chuck, welcome. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Yeah, Daryl, thank you very much.
I've been a super fan of the twin bed for a long time, and it's one of the things that you guys came out with relatively early. So you guys developed the Ranger, and then we had COVID, had to kind of slim down the offerings that you guys had.
Yeah.
And that's one of the I think trends of the industry is, just the twin bed option to make it easier for, especially if if you have two people, two grown adults, and they don't want to climb over each other in bed, the twin bed option just makes it so much easier. And you guys brought out the Evolution Twin last year, and now you're offering it in the Classic as well. So can you kind of talk a little bit about kind of why you guys did that and talk about the classic twin bed a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. So we did come out with the Evolution 15 twin bed about a year and a half ago, and that unit is pretty much our largest size and the top of the line as far as equipment and price and weight. So we had a lot of people who were looking for a twin bed option in like a 12-foot living space. So just like the rest of the classics, be it a rear sofa or rear mattress, this is a 12-foot living space, 6.5 feet wide on a 15-foot long frame. So it gives you something that's under 2,000 pounds dry weight, where the Evolution 15 ends up being, one of our heavier offerings around 2,400 pounds. So yeah, we just decided to make an addition to the Classic lineup, considering the fact that the Classic has historically been our best selling unit. We sell majorly, I'd say, rear sofas, even though we do quite a number of rear permanent beds. But we kept getting requests for exactly what you said, people who don't want to have to struggle over each other at night to get up to go to the bathroom or head out or whatever. So yeah, we now finally have one in both a 12 and a 15 foot.
That's great. And I really like the one thing that really drew me to the classic was just, all the windows that you have, that really open feeling. And we decided we really wanted to go with hard dormers. And when you choose a hard dormer, you kind of lose some of that windows on the sides there,
Mhm.
as composed to like the soft dormers. And
Yeah.
so when we made that decision, I was like, man, I really, really want a classic. And so it's really nice that you added that twin bed option to the classic.
Yeah, yeah, and this one, because of the way it's configured, so you get a small 30-inch by 76-inch dinette up front. So you can sleep up to three people in this. You got the two twin beds in the rear of the unit, and then you got a small dinette up front, which gives you a second sleeping area. So because of the way the dinette in this unit is a little bit smaller, but very, very far forward, the front hard dormer is standard, and then the rear dormer is optional. But even with both rear, front and rear hard dormers. MSRP is still like 35.5. So it's a nice price point that gives you a little breathing room before you head up in that Evolution price point up around 50,000 bucks. So nice option to have.
Okay. So that kind of shows the two twin beds. What is the size of the mattresses on there?
Yeah, so those are 28 inches wide and 75 inches long. So in the 15 footer, they are slightly wider at 30 inches and they're 80 inches long in there just because the unit's longer. We got a little bit more room to work with. But in here, 28 wide by 75 long. So still pretty reasonable size. When you got a really nice nightstand in the middle back there with a little bit of storage and USB ports and all that kind of stuff for plugging in anything you might need, like sleep machines or lights or charging phones even, obviously.
No, I really like that. That little countertop that you have, that storage area in the middle there. Is that the vent for the furnace back there? Is that what that is?
Yeah, it's actually the return for the AC heat pump because the AC heat pump is actually mounted underneath that nightstand. So that's part of the reason why we left it as high as we did, just because we've got an air conditioning unit under there.
Okay.
And then those ducts, if you look at that twin bed on the left-hand side or the door side of the unit, you can see on the end there that circular vent. That's one of the ducts for the AC heat pump.
Okay.
So you're blowing the air to the center of the unit, and the same thing behind the glass-covered sink, which is the round one. The
We have ducts right here and then right here and then right here, basically.
Yes, exactly. So three ducts in there total. So great ventilation or great circulation, basically when you're running the AC or the heat. And then that twin bed on the left-hand side, or again, or the door side of the unit, that's hinged underneath there. So that entire cushion flips up and you've got storage underneath that entire bed.
Oh, nice. Now, are those cushions, is there anything special about those cushions that, given that they're kind of full-time mattresses slash kind of they're meant to be a sleeping space, or they're kind of the standard cushions?
They are basically still the same density as the standard cushions you'd see in a rear sofa, but they are 4-inch thickness and they are a high density foam. So for a regular cushion to sleep on, they are pretty comfortable. I think we've talked about this before with a 4-inch cushion. It's hard to get it soft enough to be soft and comfortable, and but not so much so that you're bottoming out when you're laying on it, right? So
Yeah.
they're I'd say a little bit closer out to the firm side than soft, but at least that way your hips aren't bottoming out while you're laying on your side
But
or
it's,
whatever.
it's one of those things where you can always add so easy, that you don't have to switch it back and forth between the dinette and a bed and a couch and the bed.
Yep.
'Cause you can just put any kind of bed in there that you want or any sort of mattress that you want in there. So that's really nice.
Yeah, people always just take like a little bit of that egg crate type foam or something, put it on top, or a little feather bed, or whatever your preference is. But cushions overall, because you can also sit in between those if you got your beds made up during the day and you need extra seating versus just the smaller dinette up front. You can always kind of prop your pillows up behind you on the A walls there and kick back. So good for sitting and nice enough for sleeping. Yeah, so on the back side of that galley, you see there's two thermostats. One is for the AC heat pump. That'd be the one on the left. And then the one on the right is for your propane furnace. I was saying is on the one on the left, the important thing to know for the AC heat pump, if you're about to be a new A-liner owner, is when you turn that heat pump on, there's a power button, and then the motor starts and the fan blows, but there's a mode button you have to touch. And if you hit that mode button, that'll either kick it to a blue light will turn on, and that'll show you that your air conditioning is running. Or if you hit the mode button a second time, it'll switch it to a red light, which lets you know that you're running the heating element in there. So it was a few years back when we first got these command heat pumps. I was at a show and turned it on and thought the air conditioning was on. And I was sitting in the camper and it continued to get warmer and warmer. And it's because I didn't hit the mode button to turn the AC actually on. But it's just a good little pointer for any new or potential owners.
So, I really wanted to focus on the twin bed, but I'm noticing a lot of other changes here.
Yes.
So is this
Yeah.
this just for the twin bed, or is this kind of across the line here?
Yeah, so we did all new interiors for the 2025 model year. We had been on our previous interior since previous to COVID, and part of the reason we wrote it so long was just stuff was selling so fast. We wanted to deliver people the same camper they saw on the dealer's lot. We didn't want to change things midstream, so we were a little overdue for an interior change. But yeah, I think that came out unbelievable. It's a little bit more modern looking. They changed the linoleum floor from a thinner wood plank to a wider looking wood plank linoleum. The cabinetry is a lighter gray cabinet with a white countertop. The cabinet doors actually got a little bit thicker and heavier as far as a construction standpoint, as far as the actual frame doors themselves. The hardware on all the cabinets got upgraded across the board. And then the curtains are now blackout curtains too. So those are probably twice as thick as what we were using before, but you don't cast any shadows that way and no daylight gets in if you're trying to sleep in one day. And then the biggest change is probably has to do with the galley because you see you get the glass covered sink and stove in this twin bed, which is now true of any classic LXE or Expedition, which the Expedition always had the glass covered sink and stove, but the
Not on,
classic
not on the Ranger.
not on the Ranger. Nope. Couple problems there is size to fit those appliances and the way the cabinets are configured in the Ranger and the use of the side mount air conditioner in those models is another thing that depending on the model can change how we do that. But so we upgraded from a small plastic sink to a bigger metal sink with a cover on it. And then from a regular two burner, well, the classic used to have the in-out stove.
Is it any
Uh,
deeper, the sink?
yeah, it's substantially deeper. I would say it's probably almost double.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's really nice. So, and then what that does for you is basically, we had one other major change too, I guess. The refrigerator in this unit is a 12-volt refrigerator where we had a three-way in the past, and there's rumblings that Dometic may not continue to build that three-way refrigerator. So, to get ahead of the curve, we've gone ahead and made the change to 12 volt, which 12 volt cools faster, works better when you're if you're in altitude. There's a lot of upsides to a 12-volt refrigerator, outside of the fact that this one is shorter than the old three-way used to be. And the old three-way used to be so tall that would force us into using the in-out stove in the Classic, and the galley cabinet would be off. Like the fridge height versus the sink height would be there'd be a drop down probably 3 or 4 inches. So going to a refrigerator, which is actually a little bit bigger, instead of being a 3 cubic foot, it's 3.2. It's shorter, but it's deeper. So you actually gain a little bit bigger refrigerator space. We got to level out the cabinets in all the Classics and the LXC for that matter. And then you gain the glass covered sink and stove as well. So combination of the new interiors with the cabinet doors, flooring, the sink, stove, refrigerator, and curtains. It's been a complete overhaul basically for 2025.
That's awesome. That's I mean it for me, I mean I think it just looks so much modern and it looks so much more inviting to me. I really love what you did here. This is
Yeah,
great.
well, thank you. We love the way that it came out, and it's kind of more cohesive with the inside and the outside of the unit too. Most of these units are going to be the light gray fiberglass with the black trim, and this interior actually matches the inside to the outside a little bit better. So yeah, like you said, just more cohesive overall, the entire look.
The 12-volt fridge, who makes that?
So we're using two different ones now. In the Scouts and Rangers, we're using an Insignia, and then this one is a Verfrigo. It's a different name, but it's I think it's Verfrigo.
Okay.
I think that one's a European one, and the Insignia I think might come out of Florida. But
Are these I don't know much about 12 fridges, but when I look at videos and stuff and they're talking about 12-volt fridges and they always talk about, like the compressor based ones are supposedly more efficient and they cool better, or they use less energy or something. Is that kind of what you guys went with, or what was the rationale for the fridges and, energy use and stuff?
Yeah, that's basically it. All the things you hit on there. They are more efficient. They cool faster. Like I said, if you're in altitude of, more than 5,000 feet or whatever, they definitely do work better because you're not, once the air gets thin, obviously, if you're running a LP fridge, sometimes that doesn't tend to work out. The higher you get, the less it works, right? Um, so yeah, basically all those things. And then from a standpoint of trying to run refrigeration off batteries and solar panels, this is something with the right setup of solar panels. You can actually keep that refrigerator cold while you're off grid too.
I think on this one of the changes as well was, isn't there an option for solar now on these?
Yep, there is. So anything that has a front hard dormer in a 12-foot box or bigger, you can option the same 185-watt solar panel that we use standard on the bigger Evolution units. You can now option that into any Scout that's a 12-footer, Ranger 12, Classic, or LXE on the front dormer. And then if you step up to an Expedition or an Evolution 15, the front panel would be available, and then also the rear, because the rear dormer is then large enough to fit the
Oh,
same 185-watt panel. So now you could do two solar panels on Expeditions or 15-foot models. Yeah.
wow, that's terrific.
Yeah.
Huh. Lots of good stuff there. And
Yeah.
pricing is pretty similar. You guys didn't raise the prices too much, right?
No, not really. We took a small little adjustment just because of the new cabinet doors and hardware and the thicker curtains and all this stuff that you get in here, the glass covered appliances. And believe it or not, the 12-volt refrigerators are actually more expensive than the three-ways were. But all those things considered, we just took a small, uh, basically about 1.5% bump. But this particular unit is right in the same ballpark as your typical Classic model. Like I said, the only difference with this one would be your front hard dormer is standard versus optional. But when compared to a Classic with dormers, it's basically the same price. So like 35.5 MSRP.
I think I noticed something over in the dinette where the table looked a little bit different from kind of the normal table that I'm used to seeing. So can
Yes.
you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, and that's one more slight upgrade here in the Classic Twin Bed that we don't have anywhere else as of yet. There may be some day where we integrate this elsewhere, but that table is called the Lagoon Table. And basically, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a black handle down on the front wall there. And if you twist that one, you can adjust the pole up and down or take it totally out of the way. You can remove the whole thing if you need to turn that front area into a bed. And
Okay.
just up underneath the table, it's harder to see, is another black handle. And that one allows you to swivel the table in any direction. So it basically moves in any direction you want, up or down, swivels around, and then can be totally removable too. So we're still using freestanding tables in 90% of the other units, but just one more little upgrade that the twin bed caught along the way.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess I see that where that would might make sense because you might need to swivel it if you're getting in there or something like that. It's kind of tight, but then once you're in there, you can swivel it back. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
I like how it gives you some different options. That's really nice.
yeah, it does. And your dinette bench on the door side is still, I believe, a 46-inch bench. The one that is tucked in behind the galley there, just because of the length of the twin beds plus the galley, that's only 30 inches up there. So you might need to swivel that table
Oh, I
out
see.
to jump in or out, or again, take it out if you're going to make a third sleeping area.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's terrific. Are there any other big changes, or that pretty much covers it?
That pretty much covers it. Yeah, just the upgrade of the interior, the Lagoon table in this one, the glass covered sink and stove, and then the change from the 12-volt fridge to the or from the three-way to the 12-volt. And then really the only other new option we did do this year was the addition of the solar panel being
Okay.
available on top of the front hard dormer in any 12-foot box. So that pretty much covers the bases on the twin bed.
Well, it seems like you guys have had a busy off season there.
We
So,
have we have and actually like I said we took this out to the Hershey show and then the dealer show in September after that, and classic twin beds are on dealers lots now. If
nice.
your local dealer doesn't have one yet, they probably will for sure between now and spring.
Hey Chuck, thanks so much for taking the time to talk about the new ALiner Classic Twin Bed. I mean, I'm really excited about that. I've loved the twin, and given that now it's at a smaller price point, that's really terrific. And all the updates with the class or with the basically the A-liners, you guys did a great job.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I think the new interiors are great, and they do go into every model from the Scout Light all the way up to the Expedition, and then of course the Evolutions have their own interior. But yeah, great talking to you again, and glad to get to share a little information on the new models.
Okay, thank you so much, Chuck.
Thank you.